Hey everybody, it's Joanna Roach from GSN Planet. How are you today? We are really excited, Megan and I, Megan who's in the control room manning all of the important things along with Michael from Millennium. We're really excited today to have one of our new sponsors, Millennium Systems, whose flagship software Mevo 2 is what they are known for. We have Victoria Vitarelli and Melissa Weedan with us today. Hi. And we are going to talk a little bit about using email marketing to book more appointments. So I know that's something that many of you are interested in, and we're excited to have some tech experts kind of talk about this and guide you through some of the ways that you can generate more revenue through more appointments. And really happy to have Millennium be part of the GSN family. So welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna and Megan and Green Spa Network community. We are happy to be here. Melissa, my coworker, and I have a lot to share with you, which we'll get into. And I just want to acknowledge behind the scenes, we have some other Millennium team members, Michael and Ruth. So if we're referring to them, that's who we're talking about, but they're behind the scenes helping to answer questions and make sure that we are getting you all the information you need to do better email marketing. So for those of you on the call right now, if you could put in the chat box just your comfort level of email marketing, or how many of you use it on a 1 to 5, 1 like kind of sort of use it, we have it, not sure what to do, to a 5 of it's our lifeline, we use it all the time, we're very well versed in it. So if you want to put that in the chat box, that would be great. And we'll have a sense of, where we're at with everybody. So without further ado, we will get into our presentation because we've got a lot to cover and I want to leave time for your questions. And we'll take it away. Are you ready, Melissa?
I'm ready.
Awesome. All right. So hello, I'm Victoria Vitarelli. I oversee sales and marketing for Millennium Systems. I've been in marketing and sales my entire career. So I'm here to give that perspective of having lived in email marketing and all kinds of marketing for a really long time. And I'm excited to share some of those tricks and tips and best practices with you.
And my name is Melissa Weedan. I come to Millennium with a background as a service provider and a business owner. I've been a massage therapist for 17 years. I'm a Reiki master, and I really love working with the businesses out there to help you guys, not just with email marketing, but all of your suffering, your needs with Mevo 2. I'm seeing, Vicki, some of the people are coming in saying minimal use. Steven says stacking in emails. Janine says, Glenora says, don't use email marketing. Carla, email marketing, been doing it for years, and now you're setting up a system for another spot. That's awesome. So good to know who's with us today. We've got Trisha saying, I don't use it for aesthetics, but I use it for my skincare brand. And Lynn uses it a little bit. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. We just want to know who's with us today. So when we give you this content, we know how to format our presentation. But go ahead, Vicki.
Awesome. All right, let's take it away. For those of you, I know there's varying degrees of familiarity with Millennium. So let me give you the quick 101 on Millennium. Right there is a photo of our founder, John Harms. He is an industry veteran. People know him. We are one of the first scheduling softwares to hit the market over 30 years ago. And he created it, our original platform, Millennium, our namesake itself. He was the coder developer of it in his garage. So before the days of like entrepreneurial stuff and seeing people in garages, he was there doing it. He's still very involved with the company. I was just on a couple calls with him today, and he's very involved with our customers. And that's really what guided his development of the platform, was listening to customers. And we continue to do that today. So we have about over 30-year track record of developing solutions for spas and salons specifically. As I mentioned, that's John Harms. Today, our flagship software, as Joanna mentioned, is Mevo 2. So the company name is Millennium. Mevo 2 is our cloud-based software developed in the last 5 or 6 years, I'd say. So we have lots and lots of customers in the cloud, on the cloud. We can talk about that another time if you need help understanding that. We are really dedicated to helping businesses grow. That's why we promise this is not a sales pitch. This is about email marketing and how it can help your business grow. We want to share our knowledge with you. We are here to provide ongoing educational resources, training, workshops for our customers. And within our own employee base, we're about 220 employees. And as Melissa mentioned, she is a service provider, massage therapist herself. About a little over 20% of our employees have worked in the field, if you will, whether they were service providers behind the front desk, doing marketing. They've worked in the field, and that is a huge asset. And we have those employees across every department in the company. So it really helps us, again, listening to our customers. We have that know-how in-house, and we plan to deliver it to everybody who we serve. So let's talk about the topics that we're going to cover today. What is an email service provider? And in insider land, an ESP, but what is that, and what are the choices, and what are the brands there? How to identify and segment your audiences. What does that mean? How to connect and engage. Drip campaigns. You may have heard this phrase before. Let's set up a drip campaign, set it and forget it, which we'll talk about that specifically and how to use them. Tracking and measuring. I will say this over and over again, that is where the gold is. So we'll talk a little bit about that, make it not intimidating, and it'll guide you for your campaigns. And then just general email best practices, some things that you should be aware of as it relates to email marketing.
That's right. So let's just get started with what is an email service provider? And pretty straightforward. There's two different types that you can get. I'm sure you're all familiar. We all have email addresses out there. But if you didn't know yet, when you buy a computer or you just go out there and you get some sort of device to use email on, it might have a little, envelope on there. That means that was downloaded on your actual computer, and that could be a company like Outlook. Now, there's also a webmail kind of service provider you can have. We're very familiar with Gmail. We've had Hotmail, Yahoo. There's also MailChimp, Constant Contact, and DemandForce. And the difference between webmail is it's on the cloud. And so you could have one of two of these types. Outlook also has a webmail offer as well, just so you know. But that's what an email service provider is. So now if we talk about not just who they are, but on our next slide, which would you choose for email marketing? Well, you have a couple of choices. You can just have your very regular Gmail. Yeah, that's true. But we recommend when we work with businesses to have a business class email. And what does that mean? Instead of just melsalon@gmail.com, we recommend that you have info@melsalon.com. And how do you get that? So many different ways. You can contact GoDaddy, you can contact, even working with Emma, Constant Contact, MailChimp, so that you can have your very own business class email to allow for bulk sending. If I just had my Gmail account, my regular Gmail account, maybe I'd be limited and only be able to send 200 emails, 300 emails per day. Well, we want you to be able to send hundreds or thousands of emails to a huge audience. And when you're working with maybe Emma or Constant Contact, you'll be able to have customizable templates to create beautiful campaigns with specific images right from your business that you can use to communicate with clients. You can also have the ability to segment your audience out. And we're going to talk about this in our next slide. And what I mean by segmentation is saying, I want to speak to a specific audience. Maybe it's my clients that come in every single week or month, and I want to be able to have an email campaign specific to them. Or maybe I want to reach people who haven't been here in over a year or so. I can segment them out too through my software, through my email. We're going to talk a little bit about creating automated campaigns, things like happy birthday. So every single month when someone has a birthday, you may have an automated campaign. And then we want to talk a little bit about email metrics. And Vicki talked to this before, and it's so important to monitor those metrics. Who's opening those emails? Are they working? That it all starts with choosing that email service provider, making sure it's working with the software company you're using, Emma, Constant Contact for that webmail platform to be able to send these messages out. So let's talk about how you can identify that audience and then segment them as well. So what does that even mean? So who are you speaking to when you're creating this audience? You may have a database of all of your clientele, and you want to be able to extract information about who they are. Are they coming in for multiple services? Are they coming in? Are they transient clients, meaning they're snowbirders? They don't come in all the time. So once you identify who your audience is, then you can segment them. And you want to be able to, you may have multiple different audiences, and your software, I know we at Mevo too have this ability, can extract that audience based on different criteria. And I mentioned a couple of different ways you can segment them out, but we could think of even more ideas. Like maybe someone came in, they got a service and they got a product to go along with that service, but they didn't book a future appointment. Or maybe someone bought a gift card, but they never used it. Or they came in, they had that service, but they didn't buy the product to go with that service. There's so many ways you can segment these people out, this audience, so you're really fine tuning how you want to speak and communicate them with your email marketing. And again, you want to monitor and routinely update your audience. You may have some people that you've captured from a vendor event, or you had a sidewalk sale, or you have clients that just come into your business regularly. You want to make sure their email address is correct, that they said, yes, sure, you can reach out to me for email marketing. That's great. But what if their email was, instead of Gmail, they put an N instead of an M? Those are common errors that if you're not watching that to see if there's errors, then your audience won't grow as much, or you may be losing out on some people you want to really reach out to. So let's talk about how you can create this audience segmentation and what it is. I mentioned it before, you can really fine tune this and allow for real personalization in your emails. So you know exactly who you're speaking to. This is like the best of marketing tips, knowing, well, I'm going to find my client who comes in for that standing appointment every single Friday. She gets her blowout. I want to send her an email to maybe see if she'll try another service. She has that favorite service, but wouldn't it be great if she came in and I increased her customer share and she tried something else, and then maybe she saw a promotion and then bought another product with that? You can use your software or reporting to build these segments based on this criteria. It could be their birthday month. I mentioned happy birthday could be an automated campaign you set up, but you can also just create a segment just for people who have birthdays, or service providers that have that really loyal clientele base, and you want to create an email base just for those service providers. So there's so many great ideas out there for how you can segment and identify who your audience is. Go ahead, Vicki. Let's do connect and engage.
Let's talk about connecting and engaging. And I even have some good examples here for everybody. So couple things here, in terms of connecting and engaging. Don't over email your audiences. I have a great example of this. No one likes a lot of emails, right? So you want things that add value. However, there are some things that just reading the subject line without opening the email, you take away something. And one of my examples here is I have a whole separate email address just for retail emails because I'm an online shopper. And it's flooded. I'm not kidding you. I delete it. It's absurd. There's 15,000 emails in there right now. But when I go in there as a marketer, when I put my marketing hat to go in and do my delete, I look to see what are these other companies doing? What's going on in retail today, right? And at one point I noticed the Gap was sending me 2 emails a day, and maybe sometimes even more if they were having a flash sale or holiday emails. It was insane. So on the one hand, I was quite frustrated. Did that make me stop going to the Gap? Not exactly, but sometimes I didn't even open them because in the subject line, it would say 50% off. I would just go straight to the app, or I knew I was going to the mall that day and I knew they were having a sale. So it's something to consider, but at the same time, don't over email everybody. That's just is a simple thing, every week, every month, unless you're adding value. That's what I would say. So if they're having a sale every week and if I am a big shopper, then that's adding value to me. But normally it can be too much. And you'll get to know after you review your stats when too much is too much. Which goes into number 2, always provide value. What is it that you're telling them? Are you giving them a new piece of information? Maybe you're talking about a new treatment and the benefits of it. Maybe you like to offer wellness content to your clientele in terms of, new sources of vitamin D, and if you want a vitamin D facial. I'm just obviously making things up, but those are real examples too, where you may just be providing content that is relevant to your audience. Utilizing personalization to improve engagement. So let's just say you just don't have enough time and you want to send out one newsletter a month. That's fine. I would say make it the best one time a month newsletter you can. Personalize it. So a lot of email tools, the email service provider tools, allow you to say personalization, and it puts that code in there for you. It then pulls from your customer database or the list of customers you have inside of your email service provider and will automatically insert their name. So instead of it just being like, hey, everybody, it'll say, dear Melissa, or hi, Melissa, which is a best practice. And it's something that people really, they see it a little more personal, like you actually know who I am, as opposed to just blasting emails out to them. So think about personalization. Let's talk about call to actions and what that means. That is definitely a marketing term. And my marketing team knows that everything needs to have a call to action. It doesn't mean you have to have a sale every time. And it doesn't mean that every email has to be about booking an appointment, even though that may be your end game. But a call to action is, what do you want the receiver of that email to do? Whether it's make a phone call, read a blog post, forward this information to a friend, refer somebody to us, sign up for our webinar series, just like you got here. So keep in mind a call to action. So if you're going to send them, something about a promotion, make it easy for them to contact you. Make it easy for them to take that action that you want them to do. Let's talk about another marketing term we like to use is seasonality. And a lot of you know this, like your busy season, right? Oh, whether it's back to school, whether it's holidays, vacation timeframes, if you're a destination spa, whatever that is, keep that in mind as you plan out your calendar for your communications. So whether that's planning the frequency of your emails, well, let's do it every other week, and let's do an extra one during the holiday time so people can remember to buy e-gifts for their spouse or family member or friend. Or whether you're a destination and you want to make sure you're getting your email out when your prospects or your clientele who come back to you every time they vacation there, that you're in the planning phase. So if somebody comes to see you in April, you want to make sure that you're top of mind in February, March, when they're making their plans. Like, oh yeah, I better book my appointment now before we get there. So that's something to think about, is to make a plan. And again, if you're the one time a month, I just want to send one time a month, that's okay. Just make a plan for it in terms of content and how you're going to deliver that. Then let's talk about keeping track of frequency of visit. This is one of our favorite metrics, and we have tons of reporting around this in Mevo. But you want to look at, and the whole purpose of this is getting people to book appointments. So take a look. If you believe, and your philosophy at your business is people should really get a facial every 60 days, every 30 days, think about that list of people who haven't been in there in the past 90 days or 60 days and message them. That is an example of a segment, as Melissa mentioned earlier. Those overdue customers, or maybe it's about replenishing products. We know, I wish my moisturizer lasted longer, but then again, if you love trying new products, it doesn't matter how long it lasts. But if you want to offer them replenishment, and if you have an e-commerce site, you want to say, hey, come back in, replenish your moisturizer, or sale on this brand for those customers that purchased that brand in the last 30, 60, 90 days, or even in the past year, get them to purchase it again. And again, if it's for a service, make sure your call to action is designed to get them to book that appointment and get them back in the door. So those are just some strategies to think about as you're planning out your calendar.
I love that, Vicki, especially what you said about the seasonality and being mindful of when you're sending these emails. So if you have that destination spa, doing it in time for when someone's booking their appointment. That was great. I love that. So let's talk about what a drip campaign is and how to use it. So when I think of a drip campaign, I kind of envision like a tree with a lot of branches, and at the top of the branch, or one branch may be like, well, this campaign is going to be specifically just about getting people in for this one service. So how can I drip this information into people? If they've never come in for this service before, I could do that. That would be my first email. And then maybe the second branch that comes out is, okay, did they respond? Are they booking, or did they not respond? And it will know by creating the strip campaign what to send out next based on specific action. So this is a series of emails sent to a clientele. Maybe it's a segment that you've created. So like Vicki said earlier, and we're saying right now, nothing is ever set it and forget it. Yes, you can automate these things, but there's always more actions to be taken with the strip campaign, or maybe the action is no more action and they've decided that they're gonna unsubscribe. That's fine. But whatever that may be, I kind of think about the analogy of like the tree, because it keeps like growing and branching out or dripping down to the next email. So some of the examples we have are the happy birthday campaign. You could send that out to people who have birthdays, or maybe you want to reach out to people who haven't visited in the last 3 to 6 months. So what's really nice is when you're sending these out, if someone comes back and says, sure, I want to book, you're increasing that rebooking percentage, and you're making sure you're getting to that specific clientele base. Vicki also mentioned a retail product reminder. Maybe someone loves a certain brand, but by having a drip campaign for one brand, you can send out the first campaign and say, okay, you tried this product. How about this, other companion product that goes with that facial cream? Maybe you didn't get the toner, or did you try this exfoliator? Staying in the skincare line, maybe it's shampoo and conditioner and they didn't get the hair serum to go along with it. Whatever that may be, you can create an entire campaign around the idea of staying in touch with people based on this criteria. So love that idea. Now, going into tracking and monitoring this next is, after you create all these beautiful campaigns, you have your audience, you know who you're talking to, you've got those gorgeous templates, maybe you have certain images and you have videos embedded and you name it. You want to be able to track all of these analytics from your email marketing platform, whether it's Emma or Constant Contact, whatever that may be. And this visual here is just showing you a little snapshot of what you can see on your dashboard for who is coming in and who's opening those emails. Maybe there was a subject line that people were like, whoa, I love that subject line. And maybe the buzzword was free, or, exclusive, or whatever those buzzwords may be. And if you're like, Melissa, I have no idea what a buzzword is, Google it, find out what are some words that people actually take action on when they see it and read it. What are those like common marketing strategies you can use, even in simple terms of in a subject line? I know when I see subject line, there's definitely things that catch my attention. So it might just be that plus a little bit about what the email is about. I can see that, then I'll know whether or not I want to open it. So once you track and see what's happening with the opening and the clicking open, or whatever that subject line may be, if you need to change it, you can make changes. You could try new approaches. You can even test. We have something built within Mevo too called A/B testing for our email marketing. And I love this. So you can create this and say, well, let's see how well this email does if we send this out to a certain amount of people with this image. And we'll send the same kind of body of email, but with a different image, and see which one does better. And whichever wins, that's the one we're going to send out. You can really do a lot to see how well things are performing, not just on who's opening it, who's viewing it, and when, but how your content is doing as well. And when you know what's working, maybe that image, that video that was embedded, use it again, use it in other marketing campaigns.
I want to give an example here before we get into more of the metrics things. And I also want to pause. If there are any questions that you guys have, because we're throwing so much at you, go ahead and put them in the chat. Let us know so that we answer your questions or things that you don't understand. And we will explain things further. But one of the things I want to mention is in a former life, I used to work for an NFL team, the New York Jets. And we did a ton of A/B testing. And even at Millennium and here, we do A/B testing all the time to see which words catch people's attention, as Melissa mentioned. But we did a lot of testing when I was at the Jets to get people to open, all of our fans, or people to buy tickets. We were going, we didn't have the best season sometimes, but we're like, how do we get people to open the email to buy tickets? It's hard. So anyway, won't land on that too long, but we found through our A/B testing that when we put a player's name in the subject line, they were more likely by like double-digit percentages to open that email as opposed to an email that didn't have a player's name. So again, we tested it. We're experts to a degree, but the metrics is the information, right? That really helps guide those decisions. Even at Millennium, sometimes, we're like, okay, is a feature going to open it up, or will the benefit of that feature have them open it up? Maybe we mentioned John Harms in an email. That for sure gets the most opens for people who know him. So many different tactics to try, and most email service providers have that feature baked in, and some people just don't know how to activate it, and it's pretty simple. So I just, again, give that as an example, which will lead into our analytics on the next slide of always be testing.
Yeah.
Everything is a test. Because just as much as you think you got the formula down, right, Melissa? Like, it changes.
It changes. The world
Right.
changes. Things change. The things that we have to speak on change, as we all know this year. So, what can make someone open and this week may be different next week. So, the industry benchmark for an open rate is 15 to 25%. And when you're going into your platform and you're checking out all these metrics, if you're below that, then maybe you need to make some changes. I mentioned those buzzwords, free or exclusive, or Vicky said if it's a person's name that's famous that you worked with or worked on in your spa or whatever it may be, your location, something very specific about that, something unique about you and your business maybe can get that open rate higher. Then you have the click-through rate. What is the click-through rate? Well, we were talking about CTAs, those call to actions. If someone's just clicking through that email and they're not going and opening up to book now, or going to that video, or going to forward that on, or opening up that survey, whatever they're clicking on, then maybe you need to add more content of that kind. Maybe you work with SurveyMonkey, or you have an Eventbrite account. You can embed that in your email and say, hey, we have an event coming up, or please take the survey. We want your feedback. So to get that click-through rate up, those are some ideas that you can have there. Now, the bounce back rate, the benchmark here is about under 2%. And that could be, again, I was talking about errors. If someone has a wrong email address in there, or, it just went to an invalid area, it happens. Forwarding rate we love, and this really varies for a benchmark because it's different from business to business, from location throughout the whole world. Could be so different, and even referring as well. You don't know who's going to see this, what is going to entice them to say, oh my gosh, I have to share this coupon code, or I have to share this opportunity for this promotion, or maybe I love being a member at this spa. I want to send this and forward it because they have a new rate going on to my friend. And then, of course, we have the unsubscribe rate, which no one really loves. But I mean, Vicki mentioned it. We get emails all the time. There's some that we just have to get rid of. But don't be afraid of the unsubscribe rate, because why, Vicki?
Sorry, I was getting tagged. Oh my gosh. You don't want to worry about your unsubscribe rate, because if someone unsubscribes, it's going to increase your open rate. Think about it that way. And also, it's communication from your customers. They're telling you something. And it don't take it personal. You're going to take it personal. I take it personal, but at the same time, they just may not want to, have another email like my 15,000. Doesn't mean I'm not going to shop at the Gap ever again. It just means like, I'll find you when I need to find you. Right. So
exactly.
All right. Let's talk about some of these best practices. And I know there are some questions. That's the other thing I was looking at when I was distracted a second ago, is how to avoid having the emails that you do send go into spam. So let's talk about these tips here, because they may help. And then I have some other thoughts around it. And then Melissa, I'm going to ask you your opinions too on this. So first things first, let's get your clientele to opt in to receive emails. And you may say, well, wait a minute, how do I do that? Couple things. One, when you're setting up their client profile, if you are on a software, as by way of example, in Nevo, we have checkboxes for agree to receive email, agree to receive texts, because some people, I know I love getting text messages. It's much easier than like opening an app and going into the email and all that stuff. So make sure you understand their communication preferences and respect that. And usually those preferences will transfer over, at least I know they do in Mevo, will transfer over to the email service provider. And they should be okay to receive emails, which increases the likelihood that they will end up in the inbox once you have that permission. Another way to get permission is, because you always want to make sure that you have an opt-out at the bottom of your email for compliance reasons. These are like legal reasons to have an unsubscribe link at the bottom of your email. What you can do is send everybody a welcome email. Welcome, this is my email newsletter. I'm going to be emailing you. Please add us to your safe sender list. You know, accept this email. That you've probably received those before. So you can send a welcome email to everybody just saying, add us to your safe sender list. But what if that gets in the spam folder? Then how do I do that? Sometimes you have to ask, and also make sure you have a reliable email service provider. Some of them really help impact the delivery rates more than others and help you with those best tricks and tips. And I know there's a question here about like keywords that might end up in spam. It varies. I know that I get emails from people who are on my list that I see in my spam folder, because I check my spam folder, because I don't even know the different words that they use, but something triggered it. It could have been an attachment. Sometimes attachments make things go into spam. If it's too big of a size, it could easily go into spam. If there's some links in there that are a little questionable, your spam filter. And it depends on the security features of the recipient's email box as well. So again, a lot of things that are out of your control, but if you want to just start and see what's going to be delivered, you'll get that delivery rate. Make the email simple. Welcome to my email list. Come in this Saturday. Book a facial, simple things that are less likely to be flagged. And again, you will increase your intelligence, your own AI, if you will, around getting emails in the inbox to be received. Melissa, anything you want to add to that?
No, I was just going to say, I'm glad that you mentioned, like, it could be out of their control. It could be on the receiving person's end. Maybe they have rules set up, like, I don't take any sort of potential spam, or, I'm so glad you mentioned having things embedded that may be questionable to other people on the receiving end. But I do agree also with keep it simple and authentic. I think many times we think we have to get really flashy. We have to have all these buzzwords, and that's great. But why do people come to your business in the first place? Think about the words that are your brand. Maybe you could even, brainstorm that one day and say, my brand is, in one single word, and try to use those words consistently with your brand as you're communicating with your clients.
Great points. Great points. One thing I want to go back to that I mentioned is being compliant on your emails. I know this isn't the sexy part of email marketing, but there are, federal government regulations around email, and you cannot spam people. It's called the Canned Spam Act of, I forget which year, but we have a link to it here in here, so you can read up on that if you want. But you want to make sure, first and foremost, that you have permission in some way, shape, or form to email everybody. And the safest way to do this is to make sure you have that unsubscribe link at the bottom in the footer of your email. I will tell you, good email service providers guide you through this. They say, here's your footer. Is your footer compliant? Like, I know Emma, which is our, it's built into Mevo, that has that in there. And if you're on MailChimp, that has it in there. Like, you can't send an email without a footer. And then, unless you like code it and hack into it and override it, and you're rolling the dice. So I just say that so you guys are aware. Caution, I don't want to scare you. I don't want to deter you from sending emails. If you have those things in there, you're fine. But it's much better than sending it from your Gmail account and just dumping in 100 customer names or something and trying to get them in. You want to make sure that you really use an email service provider at that point, if you're at that level of people. And also the reply to address, that's another one. Make sure that it is recognizable, that people know they're replying to you and not some random email address that might have been assigned to something. But make sure you monitor that email box. So if you do have what Melissa suggested earlier, info@myspa.com, monitor that inbox. Don't be like, oh, I forgot about that box and we don't look at it. Check your own spam.
Yeah.
All the time, even at Millennium, like with our customers who've been with us forever. they'll reply to an email like, hey, I need to set up a demo, or hey, can you send me my invoice? I need extra copies of it or something. We monitor all those inboxes because it happens. And who knows what happens in the World Wide Web some days, but you just make sure you cover all your bases and you're clear on them. And it doesn't have to take a ton of time either. That's another thing we hear from business owners is, I don't have the time. I just don't have the time to do this. You know, I'm the service provider and I'm the owner and I'm the manager. You know, I understand that. The very least, that's where you do the birthday drip campaign. You know, it goes out at the beginning of the month of your customers and they get 10% off on a service because it's their birthday month, right? Something to stay in touch with your customers. There are so many tools and different ways that you can connect using email that doesn't have to be a time suck and like a whole weekend project. And if your software system, whatever you use, has those segments sent over, like in Nevo, we have client selection export. They automatically port over to Emma. You go in, all those segments are in there for you. The campaigns are in there. The templates are in there. You just put in the information, schedule it to send. Oh, and that's a funny story I forgot to tell. Schedule it to send and it's done. It really doesn't have to take that much time. First couple times might take you a little bit longer, but once you get in the hang of it, it should be easy to do. And I want to talk about testing for a moment. I have another funny story. I love stories. I worked for a healthcare technology company at one point. We were in the electronic medical records and claims processing business. And we had a doctor who was an advisor on our staff. And his name was Rich. And I said, Rich, we're trying to reach all these doctors. We're sending emails at 10 in the morning. They're probably in appointments. I don't know when to send it because of different time zones across the US. When do you read emails? Like, you're a focus group of one. Tell me when you read emails. And in colorful language, he basically said to me, he reads it first thing in the morning when he's on the toilet. And I'm putting it nicely. And I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
Too much information, but good information. So we said, let's test it. Because again, it's an art and a science, this stuff. So we tested a couple of emails. Again, test. We sent them out at like 6 in the morning. I kid you not, we had one of our highest open rates ever. So
Early in the morning. Oh,
you just don't know. We didn't always send emails out at that early, but when it was something we know we wanted everybody to read, we tried it and we saw an increase for sure. So again, send it when you can. You never know when things will work, depending on where the
And
person's
the
at.
doctor's going to pick up the email. Oh, that's fantastic. And thank you so much for mentioning the client selection export. Yes, that's what we have in Mevo too, but you may have a software company that has reports that lets you know what that criteria is, kind of going back to the segmentation of who's coming in and when, what are they purchasing? Have they been here in a while? Have they not been in here a while? So I think it can take a lot of time. When I train on email marketing, I spend a lot of time talking about the audience and who you want to be reaching out to. So I feel like I agree, Vicki. Those campaigns don't have to suck your whole weekend away. You can just make a quick automated happy birthday or an automated to all of my client database. Here we are. We have a newsletter now, whatever that may be. But I do think it's valuable to take the time in building your audience out for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Even if it's top new 3 things that are happening this month. We have a new service provider. We have a new kind of facial, whatever it is, new news. There's got to be something. So you can make it easy on yourself to stay top of mind and in touch with your customers.
That's right.
All right. So lots of information. Let's do a quick recap. And while we're doing a quick recap, if there's other questions, put them in the chat box. Again, I want to make sure we answer everything for you. We talked about email service providers and ESP, who they are, what they are, how to identify and segment your audiences, how to connect and engage. So really reaching out, what kinds of messages might work, reasons to reach out to them. Drip campaigns could be a monthly newsletter with new information. Birthdays, a little bit of set and forget it. But again, you're going to check your metrics and make sure you're not forgetting it, which goes into tracking and measuring. Those open rates, don't lose sleep over them. Just look at them as guiding lights to get you to more opens and more customers. And then just some general best practices. So I'll pause there. Are there any questions before we get into the last part? Ruth or Michael?
The only question we got was, oh, a couple are coming in actually. Will you send out the recording? So yes, this is being recorded and people will have access to the recording after today's event. One other question that came in says, how often should you email on discounts? I don't really like to discount unless it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday for a new treatment or a new product. But I see some companies emailing discounts every day.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And sometimes I think discounting too much is a red flag, and it's a strategy, right? So think about, for example, like I keep going back to the Gap. I'm sorry, but I know it's something we can all relate to. Their strategy is sale all the time, right? It's like Kohl's also like 20% off, 40% off, 30% off, because they have their prices higher. So it looks like you're getting a deal. I think it really depends on your business. And I think promotions and discounts are great drivers of foot traffic, transactions, appointments. I would use them as you see fit to boost your business and what areas you need to boost your business. So if you want to introduce a new service, rather than offering a discount, how can you add value, right? So I always say that I don't like to discount either. But what are you doing to add value? So come in for our new facial and get 2 free travel size samples of XYZ product. You know, come in for this treatment and get a special towel, travel bag. I don't know, making up stuff. Obviously, you know where I'm going with that. So you can do something to add value. You know, come in for this, get an extra 10 minutes. You know, get a free Reiki, you know, a 10-minute massage, whatever it might be. So try to add value. And I would use those discounts judiciously if you can. If there's product you need to move and you need to get it off the shelf because it's getting kind of stale, you don't want to sell it anymore, you don't want it on your shelves, great opportunity, right? You have open, you know, there's a specific service you just can't get people to come in for. Maybe it's the price. Find out what's deterring them from coming in. And maybe then you think about your pricing strategy before you offer that discount. Yes. Melissa, from all the customers you work with, talk about some strategies around this.
Yeah, I definitely was itching to speak to this because we hear this a lot, and I agree. And those are great suggestions, Vicki. I would leverage the software you're using. If it's not Mevo 2, if you have a client database software where you can start tracking, maybe you have reports to see what inventory is moving, what's your top sales, what's your bottom sales. You can leverage what your business is doing and then create your discounts based on that information. Maybe you have some products that are flying off the shelves people buy all the time, and then some that are just not going out. You can create product bundles, put them together, create little packages. You can also like Vicki was saying, what are those services that are getting booked all the time? Maybe we have a service package, and all right, so people are getting blowouts all the time, but they're not getting cut and color as much, or maybe that's not the best example, but you understand you can have a cut color blowout package, or you know, whatever that may be. You can utilize the knowledge that you have by extracting the data from whatever your clientele base is, see their habits, and you can even do that with segmentation. If you're going into your software and you're finding out clients that bought a gift card, maybe if they refer a friend, we're going to give them a discount. So there's got to be value, but there's got to be good intention for I'm rewarding you because, or I'm giving you this discount because you're doing this, or I value you as a customer, so I'm going to give you extra. So you could definitely, there's a lot of thought process about how to create discounts, but my biggest thing was use the knowledge you have from the database that you have to create from there.
100%. Great. Oh, I can see the question. Do you feel email is better than SMS? Great question. Let's see. I would say, I don't know that either is better than the other. It's just different behaviors, and it's what the customer is comfortable with. Like, I know certain things I only want emails on. I don't want you to push through my text messages. I don't want it. However, there are a few brands and a few people, if you will, that I allow to text me. So again, it goes back to those preferences. Talk to your customers when they come in, set those preferences up. Oh, I just want to confirm your email address. Would you prefer we confirm with you over text or over email? get that information, and your customers will appreciate you for it. The last thing I know anybody on here wants is an email when they don't want it, or a text message when they don't want it, right? So ask them and get that information. I think both are really important tools. I love texting. Everybody's got a phone. Everybody's accessing everything on here and searching. So you can leverage both very effectively. The first place to start is getting those preferences.
I agree, getting the preferences, but also think about the messaging and the content you want to send out. Think about a text, it's small in characters. There are some third-party softwares out there that allow you to text images. They allow you to send bit.ly links or call to actions from the text. And that's great. You can send out blast text messaging for promotions. That's possible, but what is the message that you want to be seen? Do you need to have a little bit more content in there or something else that you could only send for email? Think about this, my husband went to animation school, and they're like, well, what should you even animate? Because we want to show you things. Texting is, what do I want to show my audience, and how do I want to show it to them? It's a preference, I think.
Yeah. And also another example, I once worked with a spa that they had their customer preferences, and for their massage customers only, they would mass text them. So using a blast text technology, say that a few times fast, to say, hey, we have 3 appointments open this weekend, Saturday at 10 with this service provider, Sunday at 2, in order to fill the book. Now, there's lots of technology out there that does that automatically for you also, but if you have a manageable customer base and you want to fill that book at the last minute, they use text messaging to do that, but they had the permission of those customers to do that. And they always fill their book, I would say 90% of the time. So another example. Any other questions? Ruth, Mike?
No, I think that takes us to the end of the list.
Okay, awesome. This is great. This is fun. So I believe at the end of our presentation that you guys will receive an email. You get a recording of this, as well as there are resources in there to help you along. We created a special 1-page, it's very well designed, lots of colors and things on your 6 KPIs, key performance indicators, your 6 key metrics for email marketing. And then we also invite you to just go around on millennium.com. We have tons of resources, a marketing plan template in there, all kinds of things that can help you with your marketing and your email and your business in general to grow.
Yes, and we're all about growth. And if you are a Millennium client, or if you're thinking about it, I just want to let you know that every year we do a big conference called the Business Mastery. So if you like this and you want to get more information from us, you could definitely sign up for Business Mastery. But before then, just next week, Vicki, we want to continue this conversation. I think audience was really big this week. So we want to talk next week about, if your audience likes you, what's your reputation like, and how can you manage that? Did you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, reputation management, another thing that we will demystify for you, and how to get those 5-star reviews, how to get them out there into the public's eye on your website, so it helps you get found through search. So people who are looking at reviews, which we know everybody's searching and reading, oh, is this a good place to go? You want to have those reviews out there, and you want them on your website and your marketing materials. So what does that mean? How do you get them? What do you do with that? So we're going to talk about that next week. Awesome. This was fun. Thank you everybody for attending. This is really, really great.
Thanks.
Nice job, you guys. Great job. Very interesting and fun.
Thank you. It was fun for us. So, and I appreciate everybody coming here, and thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And we'll see you back here next Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
Sounds good.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
See you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.